Hi, thanks a lot for giving us the opportunity to present our idea, especially from our case competition a couple of weeks ago with ease. Uh, I'm Aaron. Kari is also on this call, and we had a lot of fun as a small group building out our idea, and we're again very happy to share. So, we spent a lot of time speaking with industry experts and representatives and understanding their pain points and processes around May. And so we've decided to build a program the called Project Witness Echo, essentially working in two parts. There's predicting and assessing as a witness and telling a story once to echo across across a lot of the sponsor companies and people who are willing to help. And so our process of thinking was essentially first identifying where exactly the pain points are for habit-based trauma and what exactly is needed in order to facilitate the solution that answers the burden of proof for May to show that she's been a victim in order to get financial aid. Then, upon understanding the services and connection points that organizations like Credit Canada, Women Act, and CIBC actually have, we built a solution that connects both through a data platform and a communication channel, um, a streamlined way so that May only needs to tell her story once. And then, based off of the solution that we built, both on a personal level and a technical level, we figured out a way so that the banks and all of those stakeholders can also justify being on board and um, providing their support. And so, understanding May's story from a very deep level, at the end of the day, it comes down to how exactly can May trust the services that are provided as a victim uh, when the processes of receiving help are extremely complicated and uh, when it comes to something like the banks offering financial support, it's not exactly as clear cut as someone who isn't as marginalized. And so there needs to be a lot of mechanisms in place so that May can ideally tell her story in a way that relates to people within her target segment in order to justify that she needs extra attention and support. This type of support can be offered through things like proof of health, uh, data points that align with similar stories, and coverage for things like inclusivity and enablement for multi-language or specific habits that they would undergo in order to justify uh, financial spending and kinds of patterns. All of these resources tend to exist. The fundamental thing with helping May is by connecting her uh, to justify exactly how her story aligns with something that could be better represented. And so while we were speaking with our mentors and our company representatives, we kind of built out a map towards where and how all of these organizations kind of land. And so we've landed on the idea that Women Act has a lot of support from the community in terms of data resources, IPV cases, and they're able to actually justify what constitutes as abuse and what doesn't. CIBC obviously has the backing for financial history and where the problem's actually being solved. And Credit Canada offers government supported assistance in order to provide debt consolidation for people like May, even though it's an independent company. And so connecting not just the data resources and the financial history together, there's a way that we could build out not just a communication channel, but also a consolidated predictive model to streamline that process to ultimately protect May's credit within that time. So we've identified in our program or our project essentially four key steps. We're starting with May, where she enters and files a claim for credit support within her online banking app. This is the one main trigger point for May to get all of the services linked so that she only needs to tell her story once. Stage two in this whole process is where we not only connect uh, empirical data, but also quantitative data backed with all the resources that are enriched in order to build out and strengthen her case so that she's better known and better justified. Stage three is when we use a lot of the technical functions and features such as AI, machine learning, and predictive modeling in order to uh, build out a probability model so that uh, she has her story validated for her narrative so that she can get the proper guidance, not just with the specific organizations that can help, but also through recommending her other ways for her to receive solutions for her emergencies. Stage four is when we build out, in line with something like a credit score, a percent abuse likelihood score that can also be used in order for her to actually receive debt relief. And so this can also be a form of credit protection. I'll now pass it on to Carrie, who can follow through with the details regarding our service.
Yeah, so for the Project Witness Echo framework, we have like visual aids here. So we just kind of wanted May to be able to um, put her claim through a secure support channel that would be available in the online banking app. So that's how it looks. And also, like, obviously, it's like very confidential. We'd implement quick exit, would have an AI voice enabled thing. So, like, if May doesn't completely understand, English, it would also be able to help her to still put in her claim and get the necessary help that she requires. All right, yes. For the next slide, for the survivor-centered design, basically how it goes is May puts in her claim through the online banking app through one of the visual aids we saw on the previous slide. And then through that, with the safe access channel, which her husband or anybody or who is like financially abusing her cannot like access, May's able, with consent, May's able to put a claim in that is now triggers the system for like the CIBC Financial Difficulty Division to receive her claim. So when CIBC like receives this claim, they take May's financial data and they also like send May's claim to a credit counselor, like for example, Credit Canada or Women Act. So when they do that, now what they do is with May's financial data and data from other credit counselors and data from Women Act, they're able to have a predictive model that's able to assess the probability that May's claim is in fact true, just to be able to guard banks against people using financial abuse as a reason for banks to give them debt relief or whatnot. With that, once May receives like an 80% score, above 80% match that her claim is indeed true, the debt remediation program now starts. And this is put in place by Credit Canada or Women Act. Like May has all these resources that she can use. And the best part about this is they're able to reach out back to May through the safe access channel in her online banking app. So throughout this whole process, her husband never needs to know what was happening in this situation. And May is safe. We prevented re-traumatization. There's zero digital footprint, and all the four values of safety, dignity, consent, and choice have been met. The next slide will have bring May's wishes to life. So obviously for data into so this triage can be built within 1 year, and there's four like key pillars that help that. So data integration foundation, so very rigorous testing of the model against current fragmented devices. and the communication channel, which is a secure access channel. And with technology integration challenges between systems, that could be a challenge. But with a dedicated CIBC tech lead and weekly integration sprints, this can be achieved very, very fast. Approval and benefits plan. So to build a consolidated model and have like a 95% accuracy, because we want to make sure our model is as accurate as possible, we need to test on historical cases. So to iterate this before pilot launch. So this is where we would involve organizations like Women Act. Feedback testing and scaling. We need to pilot with 500 to 1,000 survivors and then usability testing wise, like iterate based off of their feedback. A challenge could be low pilot enrollment or retention, but the solution is through proactive outreach, through community partners, we would get the word out there so as many people as possible enroll. So to scale beyond May for all, we want to make sure to prevent re-traumatization for victims of financial abuse. So May tells a story once is heard by many. Women Act and other communities have their stories better represented. ML and behavior analytics work together, and banks detect early to safeguard against future losses. Everybody wins. Because even for the banks, there's loss reduction on defaulted loans, there's less average resolution time, less involvement of people, because with our predictive model, that would enable it to save time for everybody involved. Thank you so much. So data shows patterns, stories explain those patterns. To move forward, we sometimes need to go back to ensure stories like May are only told once and therefore make future change possible. Thank you.